Karibuni sana. My sister, PS, Aurelia Rono, PS for Parliamentary Affairs, ambassadors, heads of departments, divisions, units, colleagues. It's a real pleasure to be here, and a good afternoon to you all. Good afternoon. I'm Jambo. I'm very grateful to God that we get to be here today, to celebrate, to look back as we look forward, and that we are having this conversation about progress and partnership in the management of diaspora affairs. But before I continue, allow me to take this opportunity to thank you all for excellent, excellent work done in the Diaspora Investment Conference last week. Congratulations. I know I have appreciated some of you, but allow me one more time to say how proud I am to lead this team, because the work that was done and that was seen last week, Kazimurwa kabisa. I'm very excited, and congratulations to each one of you for working extremely hard, very late hours, very early mornings. I suspect some people did not sleep at all. And everybody's talking about this Diaspora Investment Conference. It is all over. It is on everybody's lips. It is all over social media. It is all over above the line media, traditional media. We have trended on the news. We have trended on socials. We have trended in WhatsApp groups. And so let's build on that momentum to continue to ensure that the outcomes of this conference come to fruition. So once again, congratulations. Colleagues, 2 weeks ago, we marked our first anniversary as a State Department for Diaspora Affairs. There was cake, there was confetti, there were people who almost gave me a heart attack when they burst the, what do you call it, the thing that holds confetti, and I thought I was walking into a meeting. Apparently it was a trap. But it's a good time to sit back and reflect on how far we have come, what we've been able to achieve, not just in this year, but the foundation that we have built on. What have we been able to achieve? It's also the end of the year, so before we go away into goat eating and tea drinking, and so on, it's a good time for us also to think about what then, now that we have come this far, what does the next year look like? This morning, I was almost dragged into a WhatsApp war with somebody who said that the State Department for Diaspora Affairs, in 1 year of existence, she cannot tell what it is that we have done. She found with a little bit of time. But for the avoidance of doubt, and we have done presentations and we have spoken about what it is that we've been able to achieve, but for the avoidance of doubt, the things that came to my mind, top of mind, were some of these. The crisis among labor migrants, especially domestic workers in the Middle East, has stabilized. Kweli rongo. Mobile consular services offered to diasporians in 22 countries in about 100 cities, and we are not talking about the consular services that have been offered in the embassies. Over 1,400 people evacuated from distress. That includes war in 2 countries, labor distress, medical evacuation, and so on. 99 Kenyans rescued from human trafficking. We're the first country after Egypt, which shares a border with Sudan, to get its citizens home when the war broke out in Sudan. Over 30 engagements, and I think I'm being conservative here, held with diaspora at the president, deputy president, cabinet secretary, or PS level to speak about various issues. Diaspora Investment Conference that just ended, bringing together 2,400 participants. Remittances are 14%. And FYI, remittances is money people send home to their families, isn't it? Is this any pesa serikali? It's me paying school fees, just that I'm paying it from a different country. Tens of thousands of jobs in the diaspora found for Kenyans who need jobs. I think the figure we had last time when we spoke with the team from Labor is that we still have about 2,000 Kenyans every week living just for Saudi Arabia. I'm not talking about any other places. Hundreds of diaspora families counseled online or in our offices, through the various distressing situations. Nimedanganya Burugu. Hundreds of men and women incarcerated abroad visited in prisons. I personally visited 14, I believe. And teams of this, and so on and so forth. I'm saying this, and this is not a comprehensive list, just to give us a sense of the work that we've been able to do here. And I think we should clap for ourselves because we have achieved a lot. We have achieved a lot in one year. Anyway, colleagues, today we are here to talk about the progress and partnerships in the management of diaspora affairs. And as you know, our 9-point mandate continues to stand ahead of us like a beacon, saying what we must do and how we must do it. Our approach to doing it has always been bottom-up. It is promote, engage, empower, and prosper the diaspora. We've worked with our sister State Department, the State Department of Foreign Affairs, especially through the Kenya missions abroad. We have worked with Immigration and Citizen Services, the National Registration Bureau, State Department for Labor and Skills Development. We have worked with government chemists. We've worked with other organizations such as the IOM, IFAD, VIDU, GIZ, private sector, just to mention a few. We have done a lot of work as far as partnerships is concerned. I want to ask that we continuously engage with the diaspora and other stakeholders to achieve our objectives and to discharge our 9-point mandate. Colleagues, I made a commitment to the diaspora in front of the president last week that we will work tirelessly with all stakeholders to ensure a healthy and empowered Kenyan diaspora and migrant workers around the globe. This is my invitation to you to not make me a liar. That you kindly work with me as we continue to do the 4 things, which is to do what? Protect, engage, empower, prosper. Protect, engage, empower, prosper any Kenyan who is outside our borders. And as government, we've elevated this conversation. All of you know that this first year of our existence has been a firefighting year, right? It has been a firefighting year. It has been a year of attempting to stabilize consular issues, welfare issues, and so on. We are saying that we think that those issues are sufficiently stable. That is not to say that we stop working on welfare, but we have put a lot of work in welfare. We've put structures, we have systems, we have a team, we have created trust. We continue to do the work that we have done in welfare. But we must now also do all of the other things that are expected from us. We've elevated the conversation on engagement and involvement. There is not turning back. There is only turning up. So I want to say before I tell you, let us rest and believe and calm down. I will come to that comment. You heard me last week telling the diaspora that in the next 2-3 years, our plan for them or our engagements for them, our focus is 4 things. Yes? We want the diaspora to invest back home. We want them to join us in skills, knowledge, and technology transfer. We want diaspora to open up trade routes abroad. And we want diaspora to play a key role in finding job opportunities for Kenyans abroad. 4 things: diaspora in investment, diaspora in technology transfer, diaspora in trade, diaspora for diaspora jobs. These are the 4 areas that you will you'll hear us talk a lot about in 2024, and they will form a critical part of our agenda for 2024. The things that we have learned to do and learned to do well, we must continue to do them. We could not have had this conversation without stabilizing our welfare issues, and those must remain stable. Now, today I'm also here to honor my 3 wise men. We have among us retiring or recently retired Is that joke only funny to me? Is it only funny to me? 3 wise men. Okay. It's Christmas. No? Okay, fine. I'd like to honor Ambassador Washington Olo, who retired in May of 2023. I would like to honor Alan Buru, who retired in October of 2023. I would like to honor Lawrence Waweru, who retired last Monday on the 11th of December 2023. I want to say that the loss of these 3 wise men was difficult for me. I joined a State Department that had 10 people, and the 3 senior-most people were retiring in the first year of that State Department. It was difficult emotionally, professionally, and in many ways. It was also difficult because these 3 men had become friends and anchors, not just of the State Department, but of me. They anchored my work when I joined the State Department, and they came alongside and they worked with me to get us to where we needed to go. So I'll tell you 3 quick stories. I will start with the story about Ambassador Olo. When I first took office, Ambassador Olo was, in his usual way, very kind, showed me protocol. I come from private sector. I have no respect for where people walk, who sits where, who speaks after who, what is the right thing to call somebody. And in the first 5 minutes of meeting Ambassador Olo, and he took me to my office, he took the time very kindly to point out to me and say, Madam PS, this is your seat. This is where you sit. This is where guests sit. This is where I sit if I'm supporting you. And he pointed out small things that sound small to you, probably for those of you who are foreign service officers, you learned this in the first week, but that are critical for you not to have an embarrassment of international proportions. He pointed out some of these things to me and was very kind and has continued to help me, including today. If I call Ambassador Olo and say I need help thinking through this, he will drop everything and has continued to do that. And you have my sincere thanks and the thanks of the State Department. So very early on, Ambassador Olo helped me when war broke out in Sudan. He chaired the technical team that helped us to very, very quickly get more than 1,000 Kenyans out of Sudan. It was a very well-coordinated project. It brought together members of other parts of government. You probably have heard me speak about it. You would imagine that I was the one who was leading it. I was leading it, but I had great, great people on the ground, and that team was led by Ambassador Olo. And thank you, Ambassador Olo, for that. Let us clap for him. Thank you, Balozi. Mburu. I have 2 stories about Mburu. Mburu has been, Mburu is a pillar. Mburu shows up. And Mburu gives you the sense that we are going to be just fine. We're going to get it done. Mburu helped put together the first teams on MCS. He became the MCS guy, deputized very ably by Karari. They worked together. They got the MCS going. But one of my fondest memories or work assignments with Mburu was just before he left. Maybe a day, maybe 3 days before Mburu left. I was on my way to, I am not sure, London? Canada. I was on my way somewhere to the Diaspora, and I got a call, and I was told that we had Kenyans who had been kidnapped and were being held by, let's call them miscreants, somewhere in Ethiopia. And I could do nothing because I was on my way to Canada, my phone was off, So very quickly, I called Mboru and I said, there is this mess, I need you to handle it. Mboru handled it. Those 2-3 engineers have been back now with their families for quite some time, safe and sound. And I'm grateful. I also made Mboru run at some point during our team building. You will all remember. We made Mboru run and we broke Mboru's finger. And we broke the poor man's finger. And for that, he will remember us forever. Thank you so much, Mboru. When I joined the department, Lawrence Waweru was the welfare guy. I think Waweru has been the welfare guy even after I moved him from welfare. I understand that Waweru still takes welfare files and handles them even after I moved him to skills and expertise. But it has always been clear to see that the man has a passion for people in distress. He has worked not just with diasporians in distress, he has worked with many of you, if you will be honest. He has counseled some of you. He has worked with people with a lot of kindness. One of the things I will remember Waweru for with a lot of fondness in my heart, apart from the work that he's talked about here, the global labor strategy, is Waweru is going to get our children out of Saudi. Waweru, as you might know, served as the deputy head of mission in Saudi for quite some time. And one of the things that have been on his heart and on my heart for some time is the hundreds of Kenyan children who are undocumented because many of them were born outside of wedlock. I don't know if that is still a word people say. Do people still say out of wedlock? They are born to unwed mothers. I don't know which is older. Anyway, and in some of these systems, if you are born outside of wedlock, you do not get documentation. Or if you do get documentation, your parents or your mother could potentially go to jail. And we have a number of Kenyan women in Saudi jails because of fornication and adultery. Now, Waweru and I and a team came up with a very very ingenious project where we determined that to be sure that these children belong to Kenyan mothers or fathers so that we can issue them documentation, we have to go back and confirm that these children are related to their parents. Waweru led a delegation that included government chemist people who did DNA sampling of 707 people. We have collected DNA. We will be able to match these undocumented children to their parents, and with that, we go back as government and issue all of the documentation, birth certificates, passports, and so on. And with that, children who have been stuck, some as long as 10 years, in a system where they cannot go to school, access medical help, or even leave the country, will finally be able to come home if they want to, or go to school. Waweru, you have the thanks of this State Department, you have the thanks of the people of Kenya and of this government. Having said those things and having spoken to my 3 wise men, colleagues, it's almost Christmas. And I know Juanita is soon going to be sending out a memo that tells us when people, how we will schedule ourselves so that we make sure we continue to serve the diaspora, who, by the way, have been calling around the clock since they got home. Let us rest. Let us find time to rest. If you have worked as hard as I have, and I know you have, you are exhausted. Yes? There are people who are looking at me with a sense of, yes, you need to finish. We are exhausted. I hope you all get to rest, spend some time with your families, and spend some time rejuvenating. And then we return here next year ready to push our 9-point mandate, which you will hear me talk a lot about. We have a number of pending projects to kick up. DIMS, Kazimaju, 24-hour call center, county visits. We have to push jobs. We have to do all of these things. We have MCS that is coming up and so on. So please rest up. Enjoy your families. Enjoy your friends. Have a wonderful time, a Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. I'm not saying that we are closing today, we are not. But in case I don't get to see you, I want you to know this.
Kata, usiogope.